To come back then to the most fundamental point, all this is aiming for something very definite, a revolutionary situation. What we are doing now is making revolution. It is all part of and must be consciously and systematically carried out as an overall strategic plan and approach to getting to the point where millions can be brought forward to wage the all-out fight to overthrow this system with a real chance of winning. A great immediate challenge that bears heavily on the prospects for revolution is what is represented by the Trump-Pence regime. In another talk, the Trump-Pence regime must go. In the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America. A better world is possible. I have spoken to how this is in fact a fascist regime, the basis on which it has risen to power in this country. How, so long as it remains in power, this regime will commit ever greater atrocities and poses a very real threat to the future and very existence of humanity through its assaults on the environment and its arsenals of nuclear annihilation. And why, in the name of humanity, it is necessary and how it is possible to force the removal of this regime through a massive, nonviolent but sustained mobilization of people demanding that this regime must go. Here I'm going to speak to the relation between this and the fundamental goal of revolution. If this regime is able to further consolidate its power and more fully implement its horrific agenda, the prospects for revolution could then be greatly set back, and the conscious revolutionary forces decimated or completely destroyed, at least for a time. On the other hand, if a mass movement is built to drive out this regime, and if the revolutionaries work to build this movement from the perspective of how it relates to the revolution that is needed as the fundamental solution, then the situation in society and the world will become much more favorable for the fight against injustice and oppression, and crucial advances can be made toward the overthrow of the whole system. To a significant degree now, the conflict between the sections of society upholding this fascism and those opposing it from various different perspectives is shaping the terrain on which the struggle for revolution must be carried out. This conflict is likely to intensify and could erupt further in violent confrontation. And in any case, it would be a significant factor in the context of an all-out struggle between revolution and counter-revolution. The relation between the struggle against this fascist regime and building the revolution is not a straight road or a one-way street. It must not be approached by those who understand the need for revolution as if first we must build a mass movement to drive out this regime, and then we can turn our attention to working directly for revolution. No. It is crucial to unite and mobilize people from different perspectives very broadly around the demand that this regime must go. But it will be much more difficult to do this on the scale and with the determination that is required to meet this objective if there are not at the same time greater and greater numbers of people who have been brought forward around the understanding that it is necessary to put an end not only to this regime, but to the system out of whose deep and defining contradictions this regime has arisen. A system which by its very nature has imposed and will continue to impose horrific and completely unnecessary suffering on the masses of humanity until this system itself is abolished. And the more that people are brought forward to be consciously, actively working for a revolution, the growing strength and moral authority of this revolutionary force will in turn strengthen the resolve of growing numbers of people to drive out this fascist regime now in power, even as many will not be, and some will perhaps never be, won to revolution. So, both to meet the immediate challenge of creating a political situation in which this regime will be removed from power, and in which the political initiative has been seized to a great degree by those who are determined to turn back the assault on humanity that is being carried out by this regime and to strive for a better world, however they understand that, and to advance toward the fundamental goal of revolution, it is vitally important that all those who have come to understand the need for revolution actively contribute to building the movement to drive out this regime, and do so from the perspective and in the overall framework of building for revolution.